Hi, I'm Heather, and today I want to talk a little bit about dance posture. We're going to get started with our feet, which will be planted firmly in the center, right into the center of your hip bones. And I'm going to turn to the side so you can get a better angle here. The whole body is something that I call the column. So what we want to do is bring that column slightly forward towards the balls of your feet, but not so far forward that you can't still lift your toes up just a little bit here. So we've brought our column forward, and we're going to lift the rib cage slightly, which will help open up the chest and let the shoulders rest down. The next step that we're going to add to this is a slight softening or bending of the knees. Okay? And the last thing that we're going to add to this is a zipping of the zipper. So we've got four parts to this. Number one, the column comes forward. You can still lift your toes. The rib cage lifts, opening the shoulders and bringing them back and down. Softening of the knees. And then finally, a zipping of the zipper. So what we have here, you can see there, we have a nice elongated low back when we zipped our zipper. We've got a lifted rib cage, and our body weight is slightly forward. So if we want to travel forward with some kind of a movement, we're already ready to go. Okay. Some of the pitfalls to these particular points and parts of posture. Let's go over those. When you bring your body column forward, when someone says forward, well, gosh, you know, a lot of times people will just really want to take it to an extreme, and that's not necessary. You should still be able to slightly lift your toes off the floor when you bring your column forward. Moving on to the lifting of the rib cage. I think that it's very common, and I remember this when I was a new student to belly dance. It's very common for students to want to just make the movement be as big as they possibly can in the beginning, and you have to account for that and correct for that, because especially in a rib cage lift, if you're trying to make it super big, that's going to make you lean back in your upper back here and open up this way, which is probably not the best line and probably not the best thing for you physically too. So just a slight lift and open, giving your shoulders a chance to relax down instead of being hunched forward, which is pretty typical of a lot of folks too. Then, when you bend your knees, another common thing to look out for is because you're bending your knees, there's going to be a tendency to drop the rib cage as well. So you've got to stay lifted up even when you bend your knees. And I like to at this point in my class, talk about Halloween skeletons, you know, those ones that you find at the party stores and stuff that are suspended. So think about lifting up and being suspended, having your lower body suspended from your top rib cage, so that when you bend your knees, it's still suspended and can move independently. All right, so from the knees there. Then, when we zip up our zipper, there's a tendency very often, instead of closing the pelvis and lengthening the spine, the tendency is to push the hips forward. And obviously we want to avoid that, because check out the line that it gives you. What happens is your rib cage drops, your hips come forward, and you've got the hunchback of Notre Dame going on, and we don't want that. So when you bend your knees and zip up your zipper, it really is just about zipping up, just like zipping up a zipper. And I'll give you another little trick here that I discovered as I was getting this together. If you have fringe on your hip scarf and you zip up your zipper, you'll notice if you look in the mirror that your fringe hangs nice and long in the front and in the back. It's not wonky or crooked or anything. Watch what happens when I open up my pelvis Watch what happens to the fringe here in the front and in the back as well. The fringe in the back hangs further away from my body, and the fringe in the front completely touches the upper parts of my legs. So you can see here the difference with the unzip and the zip. The fringe hangs nice and straight. And that's another reason that we use hip scarves in class and when we're drilling and practicing, because it creates a horizontal line. So if you're doing a horizontal movement, no matter what it is, you can look in the mirror and you can see whether or not your line here is staying horizontal or if it might be moving up and down. And same thing with your fringe. You can tell if you're continuing to keep your zipper held. So let's review. Proper dance posture. The column is forward slightly, but you can still lift your toes. Rib cage is lifted. Shoulders are relaxed and down. Knees are soft, but we continue to be suspended here so that we have free movement. And then we zip up the zipper. Check your fringe. Hanging nice and straight. And you're ready to go. Proper posture. It'll make you taller, appear more confident. Even if you're having a bad day, stand up tall, be proud, and to quote the old saying, fake it till you make it.